May the 14th. Jason, would you mind taking the roll for us tonight, please?
Sure. Mayor Kreitz,
Present.
Trustee March, Trustee Padilla,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Here.
Trustee Mahan,
Here.
Trustee DeValdi,
Here.
Trustee Lamont.
Here.
Mayor, you have enough
God, I
quorum tonight.
know.
Wonderful, thank you. At this time, I would ask that everyone stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have any changes to our agenda this evening?
No changes, Mayor.
No changes. Great, thank you. All right, we will move into our special presentation. Tonight we have our municipal judge recognition. Judge, would you join us up here, please? Wonderful, thank you. Jason, would you like to share anything?
Sure, I guess. So, as you're all aware, Judge is taking a full-time seat at the City of Boulder for their municipal court as the Chief Justice there. And so he's been with the town since 2009, I believe. I've worked with Judge for the last couple of years, 1 year as the prosecutor and then, overseeing prosecution. It's been a pleasure to work with him. You'll be missed. We appreciate all of the heart that you brought to the court and the care that you took with especially the youth population, a lot of which are here tonight. Not these youth. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
I'm glad you clarified. Yes, Judge, thank you so much for your time and compassion over the years. Every conversation that we've had with you, and I know that our community has had, they've appreciated your grace and your guidance, and having you as an advocate of our community has been a blessing. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate your service.
Really appreciate the time that I've had to spend with this great community. I started here as a fairly young guy and can remember some really interesting changes that have occurred, really positive changes in this community. And it's really good to see it growing and maturing. So I've appreciated my time with you all and with the people that I've had a chance to work with. It's been a great run, and I'm sad to go, but it's a good time for me to be settled in one community, in the community that I live. So I'm really happy about the future, and hopefully things are in a good place for this community as well. So
Yes.
thank you all.
Yes, appreciate it. We do have a plaque for you as well. So yes.
Congratulations on your new position.
Thank you for your service. Yes. It's good to see you.
Never get in trouble in Boulder.
Good to see you.
It does. Thanks for everything, all the support you've given to us over the years. Really appreciate it. Oops.
Yep.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
Lawyers do lawyer things.
If there's anything we can do to help with the process here about the endeavor on it, yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you, Judge. All right, thank you. All right. Probably the most fun agenda item that we have of the evening is first tonight. So our action agenda item B, Anthony, would you join us to share a little bit about Resolution 24R28 tonight, please?
Good evening. So the way I'm going to do this is as I call your name, if you can come to the front so they can see you, that would be great. And then I'll just say a little bit about them and remain standing up here until we finish.
Sounds great.
Right, so Angela Michelle. Angela, sorry. We're thrilled to announce Angela Michelle as a recipient to the Town of Frederick Scholarship Award. Angela will pursue her studies in anthropology at Colorado State University. Angela embodies the spirit of kindness, empathy, and reliability and dedication. Her commitment to the community shines through her involvement as a passionate musician. In her essay, she expressed a heartfelt desire to represent the Town of Frederick and reciprocate the love and support she has received from her community. Thanks to the support of the Town of Frederick, Angela's dreams are poised to reach even higher heights with this scholarship. We applaud her dedication and look forward to witnessing her continued success as she pursues her academic and personal aspirations. Congratulations, Angela.
Yay, thank you.
Okay. Ava Bailey. We're delighted to announce Ava Bailey as a Town of Frederick Scholarship Award recipient. Ava has been accepted to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University of Arizona, where she will pursue her degree in aeronautical science and aspirations to become a commercial pilot. Ava's passion for aviation was inspired by the Town of Frederick's Frederick in Flight Hot Air Balloon Festival, where she was captivated by the boundless skies above. Through her essay, Ava expresses how the town's brand, promise, and commitment to in adventure and selflessness has inspired her to pursue her dreams while prioritizing her well-being of others. Ava's journey has been marked by her exceptional leadership, organization, and exceptional communication skills, which have been recognized and praised in her recommendations. With this scholarship, Ava's path to becoming a commercial pilot is poised to reach new heights. We extend our warmest congratulations to Ava and eagerly anticipate the day when she fulfills her dreams. Brianna Wolf. Congratulations to Brianna Wolf, the recipient of the Town of Frederick Scholarship Award. Brianna will attend the University of Kentucky to study dietetics, with a focus in sports nutrition. Brianna's essay beautifully captures her deep connection to Frederick and its community-centric values. As a member of the Frederick Youth Commission, she has gained valuable insight to the town's inner workings, where a commitment to community well-being drives every action. Her unwavering dedication to academic excellence and her energetic support of her high school's sports have been remarkable, as evidenced by her glowing recommendations. Brianna's spirit and her deep-rooted passion for sports nutrition has poised her to leave a mark on her future endeavors, filling us with hope and optimism. We are proud to support your journey and eagerly anticipate your positive contributions embodying Frederick's motto of being built on what matters. Cooper Boyce. We are honored to announce Cooper Boyce as the Town of Frederick Scholarship Award recipient. Cooper will study business management at Brigham Young University in Idaho. In his essay, Cooper eloquently expressed how the Frederick Built on What Matters brand resonates deeply with him. He credits this mindset for his success in academics, choir, athletics, student council, and personal life, emphasizing the importance of focusing on relationships and enduring values. Cooper's journey is a testament to his dedication to academic excellence and active community involvement. His peers and professional recommendations admire his balanced approach to life and his commitment to making meaningful contributions to his community, inspiring us all. Congratulations, Cooper. We are proud to support your journey and look forward to witnessing your continued success as embodying Frederick values in all you do. Isabel Howell. We are pleased to announce Isabel Howell as a Town of Frederick Scholarship Award recipient. Isabel will pursue her studies in journalism and communications at Utah State University. In her essay, Isabel beautifully articulated the significance of community and transparency, values deeply integrated in Frederick brand promise. She emphasizes the importance of following through on commitments and turning intention into action, traits she admires and inspires to embody as she navigates the world. Isabel's dedication and brilliance shine through in her academic pursuits and extracurricular activities. Her recommender highlights her diligence, reliability, and exceptional talent in digital communications, which has made her an invaluable asset to the theater program and the Town of Frederick Youth Commission. Good work, Isabel. Your commitment to excellence and integrity make you a true scholar and role model. We are proud to support your journey and eagerly anticipate the positive impact you'll continue to make on your academic and professional endeavors. And I am so sorry, I'm going to mess this up. I know I am. Nicholas Ashmonstad Williams.
Maybe he'll help you.
Was that close?
Pretty close.
Okay. How do you say it?
Osmondstad?
Not even close. We're delighted to announce Nicholas as the Town of Frederick Scholarship Award recipient. Nicholas will be attending Loyola University of Chicago and studying international business and foreign affairs. Nicholas's essay beautifully captures the essence of Frederick brand promise built on what matters. He expresses a deep commitment to compassion, empathy, and positively impacting the world. His dedication to helping others and advocating for those in need reflect his compassionate nature and strong sense of reliability. His recommender highly praises Nicholas' exceptional intellect, motivation, and participation in discussions and group work, distinguishing him as a top student. Way to go, Nicholas. Your passion for making a difference in your commitment and your commitment to excellence are truly commendable. You're confident that your journey in Loyola University of Chicago will be marked by the same dedication and success. We're proud to support you and eagerly anticipate the positive impact you'll continue to make on the world. Owen Slater. We are thrilled to announce Owen Slater as a Town of Frederick Scholarship Award recipient. Owen will study business and product management at the University of Colorado Boulder. The only one staying. Good for you. In his essay, Owen fondly reminisces about the cherished memories he's made in Frederick, highlighting the invaluable support and inspiration he receives from the community. He credits Frederick's diverse events with instilling in him motivation and dream for the future, demonstrating a profound impact the town has made on his life. Owen's exceptional qualities, such as his hardworking nature, determination, and sense of humor, have not only been recognized and celebrated by his recommender. His ability to balance academic excellence with a positive attitude and strong relationships set him apart truly a remarkable individual inspiring us all. Congratulations, Owen. Dedication and character make you a diverse recipient of this scholarship. We are proud to support your academic journey, and we can't wait to see the positive contribution you continue to make to the Frederick community beyond. These are the Town of Frederick Scholarship recipients.
Yay.
Will you guys kind of funnel in a half circle so she can take a picture of you guys with the
Yes.
board?
Let me get out of the way. Yes. So maybe can we move this? Fine, they're fine. Be tall, be great. I'll pretend. No, think so. Yay, congratulations. It's just another paparazzi. All right, do you all have anything you'd like to share? You're welcome to have the podium for a little while. if you'd like to.
Yeah, for your speeches you prepared.
Yes, that's fine. That's fine, yes.
All right, I don't have much to say. I didn't plan on having a speech at all. I just really wanted to say thank you. I felt like I needed to say it. You guys are going to be changing my lives. You've already changed my life. The time I've spent in this town is like, the impact it's had on me is insane. It has shaped me into the person I am today, and this scholarship will help shape me into the person I will be tomorrow and the day after that and for the rest of my life. I made a card. I didn't make enough, so I'll just give you this.
That's very nice. Thank you.
You guys don't have to say anything.
Thank you.
I guess everyone's pretty much just gonna say
You have to play the piano. That's what has to happen.
I don't think there's one here that's good as
Okay.
but I'm just gonna probably be like the rest of the people up here and say thank you so much. I mean, I moved here around 7 years ago, and if I can imagine the person that I am today, that long ago, it's been crazy. And I think the town of Frederick, knowing Mr. Brown, knowing all of you, the community here, it's really changed my life for the better. And I really thank you for helping me move on with my life and the endeavors I hope to accomplish. So
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, congratulations. My goodness sakes.
I would also love to give a huge thank you to everyone. And I am a student pilot right now, so I love to look down on Frederick because I feel like I just have such a positive memory at every little location I see. And I've also worked at Gabe's Cafe for over a year and a half, so the next Gabe skillet is on me. So
Oh, that's nice.
I just have to give you a high five for being a pilot. I know.
That is very, very cool.
Yeah, so sort of like Cooper, I also haven't lived here my entire life, so I think that moving here from another state and another city really gives me a different appreciation for everything Frederick offers. I didn't really have activities as a little kid that was put on by the city. It was a much bigger sort of area, so I guess it's more difficult, but moving here definitely gave me those opportunities in a smaller feel. And so thank you guys for making that feel possible and then for also supporting me in my future.
I just want to say thank you for like helping me grow up. I've lived in the same house since I was a little kid, and you guys gave me all the tools I need to be able to go to Kentucky and be on my own. So thank you.
Yes.
I've lived in Frederick like pretty much all my life, and like especially like very recently, I've loved like getting more involved like with the youth commission and stuff. So I've just loved like getting to see like different aspects of the town, like as I'm like growing up and stuff. And the school I chose is a little ambitious, so I am like extremely grateful for you guys for giving me this opportunity so I can get there. So thank you.
Yes. Well, congratulations. You don't have to stay up here any longer if you don't want to. But the first test was being brave enough to join us and share a little bit of who you are with us. We're very appreciative. For those that don't know, the Frederick Scholarship is a $2,000 a year scholarship. And we're excited to extend that to you all tonight. I was very privileged to join you all in your interviews for the scholarship application and was mesmerized and encouraged by our youth demographic and all the things you shared with me. I appreciate you being brave enough to do that. I think you did an excellent job, and I can't wait to see what you do as ambassadors to our community. So thank you. Yes. Well done, Anthony, as well. Thank you for sharing.
And Mayor, if I could, I'd be remiss to say Anthony is not only a Frederick High School graduate, but he's also spearheading the Youth Commission with Mayor Pro Tem Brown and is also a recipient of the program. And so he's working for the town of Frederick, so great things can happen.
That's great. We expect to see all of you back then. Just kidding. All right. Well, we have a resolution on the table. Would we have any direction from any board members this evening?
Mayor Kreitz, I'd like to move that we adopt Resolution 24-R-28, a resolution of the Town of Frederick, Colorado, granting the 2024 Frederick High School Scholarship Program Awards based on the recommendations of the Scholarship Committee.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion tonight?
Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
Yes.
Trustee Padilla.
Yes.
Trustee Mahan.
Yes.
Trustee Tavelli.
Yes.
Trustee Lamont.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. Thank you. Let's take a 10-minute recess so that you can celebrate. I do believe the town has provided some cupcakes for you to celebrate with your families, and we would just love to just take a few minutes to meet your moms and dads and brothers and sisters and say congratulations. So, be back in 10. trustee March is unable to attend. So if you don't see him on Zoom, you can remove that if you'd like to. All right, we do have special presentations. So we have a Fred Friends update as item C.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. Kylie and Sarah.
Great. Hi.
Hello. Good evening, Mayor and Board of Trustees. So we're just here to give you a quick update on the Fred Friends group. So we recently had a Fred Friends retreat to kind of refocus and recenter the group on what the group's goals are and what goals are going to be for the next quarters leading up and next year. So some of those goals are to revamp the Fred Buddy program. You guys might be familiar when someone is new to the town, they have a Fred Buddy assigned. So it's someone from the Fred Friends Committee, and we're looking at expanding that to people who want to assist in that manner, but can't be involved with the full Fred Friends Committee to help them through, hold their hand for a few months as they're new to the town and show them the ropes, have help them out with making connections, introducing them to everybody, just a, like I said, a Fred Buddy to help them out in the beginning.
And also taking a look at people who maybe don't want to go on a one-on-one lunch with a stranger their first day of work, and how we can kind of assist those folks and still be a Fred Buddy to them without having an awkward lunch. Because not everyone wants to do that.
Right. I don't think anyone wants to do that, but yes.
We've discussed kind of revamping our social events that we have with staff. We do AM socials and PM socials, so we're looking at maybe adding a midday social, trying to have more options to accommodate our police department that work odd schedules from most of town hall staff. So we've talked about methods that we can recognize those of our fellow employees that we don't see day to day. We've also discussed one of our goals is to create a process for people who aren't part of the committee to add items to our agenda to discuss. So if they think that the committee needs to discuss something, we have a mechanism for them to come in or provide comments to our group so we can help them through any issues that they have. We've also talked about creating a leaders toolbox, and that's to help our leadership group with communications about Fred and how to implement Fred within their work groups. We've also talked about recruiting more Fred friends and also that kind of Fred friend light committee member that wants to be involved but doesn't have the time to commit to the full Fred friend committee. Those are just some of our big options that we've identified, as well as creating structure for the group, doing agendas, meeting minutes, having those available, and working through getting those on the intranet so all staff can go on and see what are we talking about in our meetings. So that way we're not just meeting in a closed room and they're not sure what's going on. It's really transparent to anyone who wants to know what we're doing with that committee. Did I forget anything?
I don't think so.
Okay. Jason, do you want to add anything?
No, I really want to appreciate the efforts that the Fred Friends does bring to infusing the Fred culture, not into just specific workplaces, but really trying to avenues to bring different workplaces together, find value in our Fred culture and everything we do day in and day out, from frontline staff all the way up through leadership. So their efforts of always kind of looking at it, finding what areas we're doing well and areas that we know we need to work on, and identifying areas of championship to mitigate those things and to continue working on making sure we have a strong Fred culture here.
That's a great update. Thank you. Do you need anything from us? Anything we can help with? No? Okay.
Thank you.
That's very encouraging. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item D. Curtis, would you like a walk-up song for your item?
Or I kick it off. We wanted to bring the finance team some recognition this evening. They recently received the GFOA award for the 2024 budget. This has been an ongoing project that the town is committed to for the last handful of years, and the efforts of Curtis and the finance team in putting together that budget document that meets all of the requirements of GFOA, along with creating a transparent document for the community. So with that, I want to toss it over to Curtis real quick.
Thank you, sir. The only reason I'm standing here tonight is because of my team behind me. And so I want to recognize every single one of them. First, we have Anthony Bixby, accountants, Becky Meyer with utility administration, and Tracy Garcia with grants administration, Susan Pogue, who couldn't be here tonight, as well as Shantina Martinez. It's truly a team success, and I can't emphasize that enough. And I just want to say that every day, for the first time in my career, it's truly a joy to come to work. And how many people can say that? And that's because of the unity of our team, the communication that we have, and just the right amount of humor. Accountants. So I just want to so I truly want to thank the team for their efforts, the work ethic that they demonstrate day in and day out is at a very high level, and the professionalism is equally there. So thank you for your support. The budget process that you also readily support is lengthy, it's laborious and very detailed, but without the support of each and every one of you, it wouldn't be possible to attain the level of success that we do. So thank you.
And Mayor, I'm going to jump in just real quick. Some of the things that they didn't mention that I think are important is there's always a lot of adversity each year, and some of the things that I think the finance team has had to overcome, in particular, implementing a whole new software system in the middle of an audit. That was last year. This year, we had a lot of things that needed to change in terms of like our KPIs, our key performance indicators, in terms of what those really mean to the organization and the community. In the past, it was just stuff that we put together that didn't mean anything. And so Curtis and his team led an effort with all of the department directors and really revamping those to make sure that they actually mean something, that they connect to the strategic plan. That was a tremendous amount of work, and that actually had this award in jeopardy that we potentially could not have gotten it. And it's a prestigious, important award. So kudos to the team. There was a lot of work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears this year, again, in trying to make us better, elevate us to a whole nother level. And that's, Jason, Curtis, Anthony, Shantina, Becky, Susan, the whole team has been exceptional.
I think I'll just end with this. This is also one of the most supportive leadership teams, senior leadership teams I've been a part of, specifically Jason, Leslie, Brian, Ryan. Those three men provide daily support that when you can show up on a daily basis and your soul is at peace and you can trust who is at the helm, it means everything. And so I want to thank these men for everything that they do to support our department. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh.
Like, let's just cancel the rest of the meeting. What are we doing? Yeah, that's very well done. Yes, congratulations. That's very important work. We have the, I suppose, responsibility, but the privilege of spending taxpayer dollars on initiatives that our citizens request of us. You all have the hard work of figuring out how to allocate that to our strategic plan to make sure that every resident knows how transparent we are with their dollars, that we're being responsible stewards of their finances, and that we're hearing their voices in the whole process. So you all do a tremendous job in that. I appreciate that very much. So if this award didn't speak that on behalf of our community, I hope that we can find a way to thank you for that. So congratulations. Yay. I have a plaque.
I'll get the little plaque over at the.
Oh, okay.
You'll get the little button that says 2024 on
it. Button. All right, we are moving into public comment. This portion of our agenda is provided to allow members of our audience to provide comments to our town board. All right, no one is signed up, so I will skip the minutia of that business and move into staff reports. So we have Brian's staff report this evening.
Yes, Mayor and members of the board. I just wanted to provide a couple of updates on a few things. I sent a calendar invite for the mini retreat on May 28th. A reminder, we're starting at 5 o'clock. We will have food there. I believe we'll probably go till 8:30 or 9. We'll have more information on an agenda probably in the next coming week, and breaks and snacks that will be available for that. This week, just as another reminder, we have the senior parade tomorrow, 6 o'clock at the admin building. And then Thursday, we have the groundbreaking for King Supers, another huge event, 2 o'clock. It will be dirt there. I don't think it will be muddy, which is good, but just plan accordingly. We're excited for that event. And then the following week, we kick off our community tour and talk on Wednesday at Savannah. Just another quick update, and this is something we'll get some information out to the organization in the next week in regards to the vacancy within the Human Resources Department or People and Culture. We met with a firm today that I feel very confident. I have worked with them in the past. They really understand the organization. They understand trust. They understand relationship building. We are going to bring them in and have them help us to keep things moving at a rapid pace, including succession planning to our employee manual to compensation to building relationships. They provide this service for other municipalities in the local area and really understand the value of trust and relationship and building that. So I'm really excited about that. I think it's gonna where our goal and commitment is to ensure that we don't miss a beat, that we only continually get better. And so there'll be more information coming out on that. That was just something that we worked on today, and we're going to move quickly. So we'll have more information and updating you as we move on that. The last thing is we do also have next week on the 23rd, it's the senior night at the high school at 6 p.m. And so that's where these scholarships will also be presented to all of the students, all of the seniors and their families there. Again, with nonprofit agencies and other municipalities that provide those scholarships. And we will have representation there from Frederick to show the support for all of the seniors. So good things that are going on. We appreciate it. Any questions that I can answer?
The specific details for Thursday, like where to meet and all that, are they in an email, or can we get a refresher on that just to make sure?
Yeah, we'll get an email out. It will be off of William and Bailey, so it's just right behind Circle K. There's an access road, but we'll send out an email probably with a map. It will be right close to right off of William and Bailey where the site will be set up in a tent.
Brian, I'm gonna ask, can that podium be moved a little bit? You're
A block. I can grow a few inches too. Give you a booster seat. Got it. Is that better? Perfect.
better, thank you.
She did that on purpose. Any other questions for Brian? Helpful. Brian, thank you for the updates. I do believe I saw a calendar invite for the 28th, though I think you are being compassionate and thinking that we will be done by 8. That's really nice of you. I do not think that will happen, but that's great. Thank you. Yeah, right. See. Okay, thank you, Brian. We have several consent agenda items, excuse me. Our consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion and vote. There will be no separate discussion of consent agenda items unless a board member so requests, in which case that item may be removed from the consent agenda item and considered at the end of the consent agenda. Would anyone like to remove any items for discussion this evening? If not, some direction on the consent agenda would be appreciated.
Madam Mayor, I move that we accept the consent agenda as printed.
Second.
Yeah.
Trustee Lamont,
Yes.
Trustee DeValdi,
Yes.
Trustee Mahan,
Yes.
Trustee Padilla,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
You. All right. Action agenda item K, resolution 24R30 tonight, please. Hi, Adam. Want us to get out our paddle votes?
Yes, please.
Okay. That was really fun.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, trustees. Forgive my cough that keeps lingering and not going away. So this item is a conditional use request for a kennel indoor use. Okay, thank you. It'll be a fun night. Next slide, please. This item is aligned with our strategic plan under the goal community and economic vitality. Specifically, Frederick is a community that fosters economic vitality and builds upon and enhances a variety of economic opportunities. The request is made by the applicant, Houndstown, and it's for an indoor dog daycare and kenneling facility. They're seeking a conditional use approval for a tenant space located at 3771 Monarch Street, Suite E. The kennel indoor use is permitted as conditional within the I Industrial Zoning District. The Planning Commission is the recommending body, while the Board of Trustees is the decision-making body. The project is located southwest of the Highway 52 and I-25 intersection, right off of Monarch Street. Suite E is located within that red box in this multi-tenant building. Property to the north of this building is zoned BLI and it's vacant. Property to the south is zoned I Industrial and it's used for overflow outdoor storage. Property to the west is zoned I Industrial. As you can see in this aerial, it's another multi-tenant building with several users. And property to the east has no zoning and it's developed with I-25. So this slide gives some development-specific information for this use. The tenant space is approximately 5,000 square feet. The suite is located in an existing multi-tenant building. There's a photo of it at the bottom of the slide. The hours of operation are proposed to be 7 days a week, and you can see the hours listed there. The applicant has proposed to construct multiple kennels for overnight guests and construction of 5 large indoor dog pens for day use. A tenant finish out permit is required, and that will include an office and laundry room. And the applicant has stated 2 to 3 employees are anticipated to work here per day with no overnight attendance. So with all conditional use requests, staff has our criteria that we must have the applicant address. And staff does provide comments. We typically don't go over these with the board, but I did want to go over a couple of them. Number 5 on the next slide. Number 5 states that the conditional use will result in efficient on and off site traffic circulation. We did receive some public comment that questioned parking for this use. Staff did an analysis, and based off our code and other codes, and I'll explain why other codes, this use triggers around 8 parking spaces. Our code doesn't list this use as a specific use with parking demand. So I looked at other municipalities, and the average spaces required was 8. The applicant has stated that they are allotted 10 parking spaces by the building owner. So staff feels that there is adequate parking for this use. Other uses in the building are not under review, but there are potential issues with underparking those uses. But again, not this proposed use. The other criteria, number 6, that I wanted to talk about states potential negative impacts of the conditional use on the rest of the neighborhood or of the neighborhood have been mitigated. So specifically, the impact for traffic I just discussed. B, activity levels. The applicant stated that they are anticipating between 30 and 40 cars per day, with short drop-off and pickup times, averaging around 3 to 4 minutes. So people are coming, dropping off their pet, or picking up their pet, and leaving. They're not parking there all day. Staff feels that is very adequate for this type of use. Noise. Staff did receive some public comment on noise, and the applicant has provided some feedback. They stated they are adding soundproofing measures to their interior tenant space. Staff has confirmed that there is an active building permit that does have sound mitigation measures. Odor. The applicant stated they will use sealed bags for dog waste and will utilize the dumpsters behind the building on a daily basis. They also plan on extending the existing party wall to the ceiling to fully enclose their space and create a buffer between other tenant spaces. So right now that party wall doesn't go all the way to the ceiling. There is a 2-foot gap. So they're going to enclose that gap. Right. So, like I mentioned, we did receive 2 public comments in the form of emails. And the concerns were noise, odor, lack of adequate parking, and we did receive a second email that was just general opposition. I'm sorry?
Those neighboring business owners?
So the first email was the tenant located directly north. So that would be the shared party wall. The other email was general. It stated, actually I have it right here, that many people are in opposition that are located within this business park. It doesn't state who, but they're a part of that business park. A little too general. So with the public hearing process, this item went before the Planning Commission on April 18th. They voted to recommend approval to the board with conditions. They voted 3 yes, 0 no, 2 absent. They asked several questions to the applicant as well as staff about parking, odor, noise, and all those different operations. Staff is recommending approval with conditions to the Board of Trustees, and these are the 3 listed conditions in my staff report. The first one states that the applicant shall install sound mitigation measures within the tenant space. There is a building permit that's in process, but this will ensure that something actually is done. They can't pull out that permit, something has to be done. Second condition that is recommended is the applicant needs to obtain an approved building permit before this use can move into the space. And the third one is the applicant shall provide staff with that parking agreement stating that they are allotted 10 spaces. Parking is a concern for planning, and we just want to make sure that it is being addressed. I did provide 3 action options for the board. And again, staff is recommending the second one, approval with conditions. That concludes my presentation. The applicant will now be available to speak some words. Thank you.
Would you mind introducing your applicants, please? Sure. Thank you.
This is Daniel Gerner with Houndstown, USA. Where's the city? So come up.
I'm Dan Gerner. I'm the owner-operator of Houndstown. I've spent most of my career in restaurants, 30 years running Ruby Tuesdays, Bonefish Grills, Snooze currently. Wanted to get out of the restaurant business, the hours, tired of missing holidays, events, all of that fun stuff that restaurants require. And I love dogs. And so this opportunity was just kind of the perfect opportunity for me. As Colorado grows, the dog population continues to grow too, and people need a place to send their dogs during the day where they're at work and when they're on vacation. And there's definitely the opportunity for me to provide that for people. Houndstown, I looked at a bunch of different places. Houndstown really appealed to me. Their dog philosophy is what I believe in, letting dogs be dogs. There'll be 5 play areas inside of the facility. So we kind of create an ideal dog park. We'll take the dogs and we'll separate them by size, temperament, energy level, all of that kind of stuff. And then we'll put them in the pens with an attendant and let the dogs just play all day. Most dog daycares actually kennel the dog for the majority of the day. They let them play in the morning and then they put them in kennels. The dogs will never be kenneled unless they're staying overnight. And other than that, they'll be out and allowed to play and just be a dog. I don't want to take up a ton of your time with my life story, so I'm sure you have plenty of questions.
Nice to hear it, though. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a question.
Sure.
When I was reading over your application, I was concerned about the sanitation.
Sure.
I mean, both if dogs urinate, there's no outdoor facilities. If after your dogs urinate, that urine is going to soak into the concrete or whatever type of floor you
Sure.
have. Not sure that the plastic bags that you referenced or that were referenced for the disposal of the waste is appropriate. How are you going to approach that and resolve that situation? Plus, you've got neighbors to the north that are concerned about the odor and that, and it goes to a gym.
Sure.
And I'm not sure that that's necessarily healthy for that environment.
Okay. I can address all those things. So we're going to seal the concrete. That's the first thing we're going to do before we move in to prevent any of that odor or anything from seeping into the concrete and creating a smell that's consistent. There'll be an attendant in the kennel or in the play areas with the dogs. As soon as there's any kind of accident, they'll clean it up. We have chemicals that have enzymes in them that help eat that continue to work on eating up that stuff to get rid of the odor to make sure it's not there. As far as the tenants, we are going to put a drop ceiling in, so there is not going to be any shared air. We're also going to put a 4-ton HVAC unit on top of it, so all of that will be ductwork for us only. We're off, as far as the outdoor goes. I checked with Waste Management today. They are the waste provider. They will pick up 6 days a week. From working in restaurants and having a compost bin for a long time, usually it's 2 to 3 day pickup. Sometimes in the summer, if it's really hot, we'll get an extra pickup. Waste Management's a company I've worked with before. They're really good about it. You can just go on their website and request a pickup, and they'll come and get it that day. So if there is any issue with outdoor odor, we will make sure that gets picked up right away. I'm going to be working there every day. I don't want to come to work in a place that has a lot of odor to it. If you were bringing your dog to me and you came in and it smelled, that's not a place you want to leave your dog either. So odor management is a huge part of what I'm going to be doing every single day.
On the kennels, you said you were going to have 5 play kennels?
5 play areas.
5 play areas.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to be. Describe a play area. Then.
Sure. So it's anywhere. There's 5 different size ones in mind. So anywhere from a 10 by 10 to a 10 by 15 space that's fenced in by a 6-foot plastic fence that's bolted into the ground. The dogs will be put in there with an attendant and allowed to just be dogs and play all day.
And how many overnight?
There's 48. There's room for 48 dogs overnight.
48 dogs.
Yes.
How does that fit into your 30 to 40 estimate for drop-offs?
Well, the dogs will be dropped off for daycare, and then they'll stay over the night, so there won't be any more pickups. And that's total. It's going to take me a long time to get to that amount of full capacity.
Thanks for that. I've got a few other questions, but I'm going to figure out how to word them for Matt.
So, any other?
One of my just curiosity and questions is, you said there's no person on site for overnight dogs. So what is the plan for them in case of an emergency, fire?
Cameras, motion sensors. I live 5 minutes away, so I'll get notifications if anything does happen overnight and be able to go there immediately, take care of any issues that happen.
Is there space anywhere around there that you'd be able to take the dogs outside, or no? This
No
is
outside.
only indoor.
No, totally indoor. They'll come in through the front door on a leash with their owner. They'll leave out through the front door on a leash with their owner.
Any questions for the applicant? Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Of course. We'll welcome Autumn back up in case there's questions for staff, but thank you for sharing. Yes. Any questions for staff?
Sorry, Brian gave you the cough.
Just kidding. Sorry.
On the building permit, so that will that be kind of before it's issued, there'd be the parking agreement and then the inspection of the sound mitigation measures before the building permit is issued, or how does that work?
That's a great question. So staff reviews a building permit, and through that review, we make sure that there is sound mitigation. If we're fine with that permit, we will issue it. It's constructed, and then staff will inspect to make sure that it is built according to that permit.
Do we have staff experienced with inspecting sound barriers, or is that a special inspection?
I'm sure our building staff is equipped for that. They had no issues with the review, from what I have been told. That's out of planning's realm. That's really a building issue, but I'm sure they're equipped to review that.
Any other questions for staff? Do you all need a moment for consideration? Would you like to discuss with each other?
There's two different addresses on these approvals, 3771 and 4771 Monarch Street, Suite E. Is that anything that we should be concerned about?
Yes, absolutely. That was an error. It should be 3771.
So it should be 4771.
37.
So
should be 30.
all numbers should be 3771.
Yes, 3771.
Thank you.
Mayor Kratz, I don't necessarily have a question, but Autumn, if perhaps it would be useful to talk about kind of the state oversight on these types of facilities as well.
Sure. So this type of facility is regulated by the state, the Department of Agriculture. A license is required to be applied for. The applicant will also have to do an exam and a walkthrough before it can be opened. Based off the website, there's also up to 3 inspections required on an annual basis to keep that license going and make sure they're in compliance. Yes.
So there's no reason we'd have to make that a condition because they couldn't do it without it anyway, right?
Which condition?
State permit.
This is a building permit condition.
No, but we could make that they need their state license. But there's no reason to do that because they couldn't operate it without it anyway.
Right.
Yeah, true.
Sure. I feel apprehension. Can I just ask what it is so I understand?
My concern, neighbors, sanitation, no outdoor space for the dogs. Sorry, that's it basically.
If I may, we do have a use called an outdoor kennel that is permitted by right. That's an administrative staff approval. There was that option, but they wanted to do indoor. If they did outdoor, they would have to amend the site plan, reduce parking. It was a little more cumbersome.
Well, I mean, let's just hypothetically, if the dogs get loose and outside the building, that is not a good area to be in because it's right next to I-25, 52. You've got access to the I-25 South. 52 is Highway 52 is a mess at times. I'm just concerned for the overall health of the dogs. I mean, and the humans in the buildings surrounding it. I mean, I am a dog lover, and my sons have dogs, and granddaughters have dogs. And I want nothing but the best for them. But I just am concerned about sanitation mainly and health safety.
The applicant can speak to dogs escaping. I'm sure they've dealt with that at other locations if you want more follow up on that.
Like more?
Yeah.
As far as dogs getting out, so the play areas will be back through doors, and then there'll be another set of doors. And then as far as the entrance goes, there's going to be a gated area blocking that door from being accessible.
if I recall right, I've been in a building, that particular building you're talking about going to. There's access to the building on both sides, east and west.
Yes.
How are you going to prevent dogs from getting out to the west? That, what you said, was just made sense to me on for dogs escaping to the east, but the west.
Sure. It'll be the same thing. There'll be a gate and then the door. So, a dog, a gate with a, be able to go in and out. So they'll have to go out, close the gate behind them, then open the door. So the dogs will never be able to get through. Because I don't want to chase a dog. I trust me, the last thing I want to do is have to call somebody and say their dog is gone.
Is this something that Houndstown, is it a chain or franchise?
It's a franchise.
Is it a roll-up door in the back?
There is a roll-up door in the back, but
There would be no reason that you'd be leaving that open all day long.
No, not at all.
You're
And-
putting a big air conditioning unit on it. To where
Absolutely. And there will be, that area will still be fenced. That door will be fenced off also by 6-foot fences.
So I don't have apprehension, and some of the reason is we got to remember this is an industrial park. I mean, there's mechanics pounding on things. And we never get uptight about noise necessarily in there. I understand about dogs barking is different, but people
Can I
don't
say-
live next door.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
I fully get the noise issue. Totally get it. Dogs barking is not a lot of fun. That's why we chose an industrial park. But my neighbor's concerned with the gym. We've specifically designed that layout so that the offices and the laundry are facing his wall. All the dog kennels will be on the opposite wall. The only time, not the only time, they're dogs, they're going to bark. The times they get excited are in the morning when I come in and in the evening when we put them away. That's why we intentionally put everything as far away from their walls as possible. So I don't want somebody that's upset with me all day long. I don't want to go to work every day and have my neighbor not happy that I'm there. So we want to make sure we do everything we can to mitigate that noise. Plus, in our lease, there is stipulations about noise that if the landlord's not satisfied with what we've put in, that we will continue to put more sound dampening, more things in there that we can do to cut down on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Should I go back? Should I stay?
You're welcome to do either, but I think
I'll go sit down one day.
Thank you. Great. If there are no further questions, some direction on this item would be appreciated.
Madam, oh, go ahead.
I don't think there's a specific job.
Nope.
on this one.
Anybody?
You go for it. You started.
I move to approve, no, I just lost it.
For R30.
24R30 with conditions as listed on our screen. Or I could read all of it.
With the correction of the,
That's sufficient.
you have to say with the correction of the address.
With the correction of the address of 3771 Monarch Street, Sweet.
And I second.
Motion a second. Any further discussion? No.
Trustee Lamont?
Can abstain? No?
Trustee DeValdi?
Yes.
Trustee Mahan?
Yes.
Trustee Padilla?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1.
Thank you. And as that resolution included the conditions, yes?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Autumn. Thank you. Welcome a business to the town of Frederick. Yes. All right, item L, resolution 24R31. I will mention for those that have graciously stayed with us, we have 6 remaining items on our agenda. And if you would like to exit, you're always welcome to do that.
Does that include us?
Not you. No, you need to stay here. Bye, Owen. Congratulations. And they were slowly melting.
For a small child.
No kidding. Hi, Kylie.
I was surprised those kids looked pretty engaged.
They really did. He was not taking notes, though. I feel like he's playing games.
Good evening, Mayor and Board of Trustees. I'm here to talk to you about our water reservation and allocation policy. Over the past year, I have come to you twice to discuss this over work sessions, and finally we're here for adoption. And the adoption of a water reservation and allocation policy is in line with our strategic goals of strategic, reliable, and sustainable infrastructure as it relates to our water, and community and economic vitality as it relates to development. A brief overview of our presentation agenda. I'm going to touch on what a water reservation and allocation policy will do for the town, how it's connected to our water reservation or water dedication requirements. I'm going to touch on our water allowance, some changes that have been made to the policy since we last met, and then our recommended policy. So overall, a water reservation and allocation policy will be a framework for how the town wants to use its water portfolio for new development to make sure that's in accordance with our community's needs and vision. And specifically, this policy is in line with our strategic goal 1.2 as it relates to updating our municipal code, and strategic goal 2.2 relating to the implementation of our retail attraction strategy. I also like to mention that there will be an opportunity to update this policy annually, so as our needs change, so can the policy. This is related to the water dedication requirements that were adopted in August of 2023. And this new code language identifies that the town can set a certain amount of water that's available for new development. That'll be our water allowance. And it identifies that eligible projects include projects in line with our strategic plan. And this is where the code ties into the water reservation and allocation policy. So as I mentioned, the water allowance is the amount of water credits that will be available for purchase through the policy. And per water supply planning analysis performed by staff, there are 132 CBT units available in our water portfolio. Now, I want to specify that this is the total amount of water available in our portfolio, and it is part of the town's water supply planning efforts to purchase an additional 30 units of CBT each year. So staff's recommendation for the water allowance is that it does not exceed 132 CBT units for 2024. And I'd like to bring this question to the board about how much water the board would like to make available through the policy for 2024. Open the floor for discussion. Oh no.
I can roll out the D20s.
I think this is an area of worry, I suppose, or apprehension from myself, is if the greater community of development recognizes that we have a water allocation policy, and then they see a year by year of water allowance and opportunity, and they see the town of Frederick going out and purchasing 30 CBT units every year, that looks like the work is not on the development community, it's on the town of Frederick. And they can kind of have an easier path, not perfect, but easier, just coming and filing an application to receive those CBT units. It's a lot of work, and there's a lot of staff time, as you know, to secure those. And I appreciate that we've been, over the years, relatively picky and conscientious of how those were allocated or when we use them for an incentive. So I would really ask that if we did have to start off conservative, I suppose, in the water allowance and see the response that we get. And if if it's a yearly analysis, you let us know, we had to turn away X amount of applications and they were these types of projects. Or maybe there's a set of criteria that you all determine this is something that we believe the board would like to hear about and we've, exceeded the allowance. I guess I would like to just understand those parameters rather than just an open book of, we now have a water allocation policy, because I think everyone will call you.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we'll talk about.
Yes. Yes. So something we. Oh,
Sorry,
no
yeah, I apologize.
Don't be sorry.
Allergies, they're new to me.
Yes, I understand your concerns, and we want to make sure we're doing this as conscientiously as possible. We do want to make it clear that if we do choose a number lower than 132 units, that doesn't necessarily mean the remainder of that will be available next year. We're going to do this analysis every year, and our assumptions that go into that water supply planning analysis will change year to year. So if we choose to make 30 units available, that does not necessarily mean 102 unit. We're saving 102 units for next year. As for selecting an amount of CBT available that's less than 132 units, staff would be supportive of that if that is what the board chooses.
The ceiling we have is 132, but every year we're purchasing an additional 30.
That's currently what our plan is, and Sarah might be able to speak to that a little bit more. I don't know if you'd like to expand.
So the 30 units, that comes from the water supply planning document that we did a couple years ago, and that was to ramp up our supply to meet those existing commitments and also increase the supply for the commercial development that the board wants to incentivize. So one thing that I hope you will see as you read through that policy is that it's really in the board's discretion of if you're going to be allowing any business to take advantage of that opportunity. So a lot of that power lies with the board. Any water reservation allocation agreement would go to the board for approval. So if it's a project that you don't think should get that, it's at the board's discretion. You can also decide, do you want to give them 20% of their water through that program, that opportunity for purchase, and require a certain amount of dedication. So you have a lot of flexibility. This is just the ceiling that we have in our current water portfolio with assumptions that we have in our water planning tool. Like Kylie said, that'll change every year. That's just if our assumptions change, that planning tool will look a little bit different. The assumptions in there shouldn't change drastically, but they can change over time.
So why do we really have to decide some number? Can't we just say we're going to take it on a case-by-case basis?
I think for staff to be able to communicate with the development community, it's good to have a number. Because if we tell them like 500, then they'll think, oh yeah, I can come in and get any kind of water I need. So giving them some transparency about what's available could
But obviously, we're not going to go over 132. But what reason would we say 60?
I mean, it's all available anytime for the right opportunity.
Up to 132.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't have the projects that come to us that we like, then we have 100 left. I mean, am I kind of reading that wrong?
I mean, I think, yes.
Okay.
Barring any changes in the assumptions, if our water use changes, anything like that.
Which I think we would all say it'd be nice to have 30 or so left over, but if somebody comes and wants 100 and it's something exactly what we want, we would have the opportunity to do that potentially.
And we do have an obligation to use water that we have in our portfolio as well. Obviously, I understand the desire to keep it for projects that the town board wants to see, fits in line with the strategic plan. But yeah, we do want to make use of those.
132 wouldn't affect that part, right?
No,
Right.
no.
That's where the 132 comes from.
From our current portfolio.
Sorry, just making sure I understand.
No, thank you. I was lost a little bit there. That helped me too.
I'm good now. I don't see any reason, at least me personally, that we would put some restriction below 132 on it. But right.
And we aren't opening ourselves up to anything on the legal end if we're like, oh yeah, we'll give this developer this much, but we're not gonna do it for this guy.
Not necessarily. I mean, a lot of other communities approach economic development opportunities on a case-by-case basis. We have some policies that have already been adopted where staff uses a framework and has some discretion within those frameworks that are already set by the board. As it's been presented, this wouldn't be something that staff would negotiate on our own behalf without you bringing it to you. So we have that discretion. We're not required to incentivize anything. In reality is we would receive payment for these shares, and then we could utilize that to purchase additional water moving forward. And you could set what that rate is to make sure that the staff time and or transfer costs and recording fees and etc. are included in that. It's just easier for a municipality to purchase 100 units at a time than it is for a smaller developer or a particular single project to be purchasing water on the open market.
I think there were parameters somewhat that were discussed in the packet about if we allocate water as an allowance to a development and they don't develop.
Yes.
Allow that water to be back in our portfolio after a period of time.
Yes. So we'll be for every water reservation and allocation, we'll have an agreement associated with that and the opportunity to set a timeline for the water reservation and water allocation. And I'll get into the difference between those two in a moment, but there will be timelines associated with that. And at the board's discretion about what those timelines might be.
So in terms of the question that's before you on this slide at this point, I think what I'm understanding you're hearing from the board is rather than having a set amount, it's just not to exceed the 132.
Yep.
And we can move forward with that assumption and bring all of these to you all for your decision in the future.
Unless we get too many, then we'll
not to exceed 132.
And again, I think, Mayor, the caveat, I was just talking to Kevin, in this planning, it allows for us the flexibility like a Silverstone in the future. If that presents its opportunity to us in the future, it will allow us the opportunity to incentivize that and help with that. So I think the key thing is we'll come back to get that direction from the board when those opportunities present.
Which actually could just be providing it to them at the price we paid. We paid less for it when we bought it.
And then we turn into water brokers.
That's fine.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for your feedback on that.
I think just one other comment is if we can maybe in January of next year, like have something on the agenda that says how did it go and lessons learned right away early 2025 so that we don't lose sight of needing to revise. And if it goes great, it's a short agenda item. We don't need to talk about it too much, but I think that would be good.
Well, and even just where we're at on the allowance on a quarterly basis in Brian's staff report, I think would be appropriate if you're seeing, of course, we're part of that process and improving it, I understand, but helping us just remind us on what we have on a quarterly basis. If we find that we're utilizing this policy more often, that would be helpful.
Definitely.
Can I ask to see what Max's opinion is of this?
Hi.
Max is like, yes, you can.
We have a wonderful engineering team that's really kept economic development in the loop in this entire process. And one of the components of this, Kylie mentioned it earlier, when you go through this, people who can apply for this program, we look for projects of economic significance. So that includes people who fall into the types of categories that we previously discussed in our economic development target industry cluster study, targeted retail opportunities, the types of economic development projects that the board is looking for specifically. So it's not anybody can willy-nilly come and be here, give me your water. It's more of a helps us be targeted as well, that when we're meeting with the right operators that we know we want here in the town of Frederick, we have this tool in the back pocket to help. So.
And it would definitely be available to local businesses that want to expand and additional water would be required for them to do that. There is no reason people like that wouldn't feel like they're getting helped too, potentially.
I think that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the infill category should
that's true.
take care of that.
Yeah, infill. Forgot that was a category. Yes, that should work.
Thank you. So I assume you'd like as much there.
Oh, I think this is great. This is a great tool. The biggest challenge we have in Frederick for development is water, especially for keeping our businesses here that we want to grow and bringing in new ones that we want to target. So.
I'm now realizing I probably should have reordered my presentation, but we'll go ahead and keep going if everyone's ready. Because this is my next slide. This has been a very collaborative effort between many different departments and our outside counsel water attorney, Todd Messenger, and our on-call engineering consultant, Element. Everyone's taken a look at this and given their feedback and input. Like I mentioned, some changes to the structure of the document have been made since I last spoke to the board about this. So the document might look a little different than the last time you saw it. The title is different. It's the Water Reservation and Allocation Policy now. And really, we're trying to create a distinction between different phases of the allocation process. So, as we mentioned earlier, the board will have the opportunity to approve water reservation and allocation agreements. Upon approval, that creates a water reservation from the town's water portfolio, and there will be a timeline under which a developer has to move that from a reservation to an allocation, and the water reservation becomes an allocation at the building permit fee.
What is it tied to? The operator or the property?
What is the
agreement?
Yeah.
So I don't know that we've got that fully defined at this point.
Then we don't need to talk about it. I just was curious if we knew that.
The next step Christine and I's plate is to go and draft all of these agreements to make sure that we can effectuate this process.
I want to take up time with that then.
And there's as I mentioned earlier, a timeline for those water allocations as well, under which the developer will have to install the tap and meter. So people won't be allowed to sit on units of water. So we went over most of this, but all allocations will require that agreement to be approved by the board. The water reservation and allocation agreements, that'll be happening around the time of the final site plan phase of a project, around the time we're able to do the water demand analysis so we know how much water is required by a project. And there are certain conditions under which water allocations will expire or be terminated. Qualified projects include key economic development projects. This overarching category includes industries identified in our cluster study, as well as projects of economic significance. That B category covers our adopted special area plans or developments that implement those plans. We also identify some critical land use needs. That should say attainable housing, not affordable housing. We made that change a little bit last minute during our addenda meeting, as well as senior housing and residential and commercial infill on a single lot basis. And proposed developments that don't fill that critical land use need category must demonstrate exemplary water conservation as a part of this policy. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we will have an opportunity to update this annually. And I imagine updating these qualified project categories will be a big part of that year to year, as we might fill certain needs that are currently identified in the policy. And as Jason alluded to just a few minutes ago, we do need some time to work through some of this process, develop agreements and things like that. So we're recommending, I know in the resolution it does say 60 days. We are now recommending 90 days before this policy becomes effective to make sure we have a really airtight process in place before the policy goes live. The engineering department is actually working with the town's innovation committee. They're our process improvement committee, and they've been assisting me. We had our kickoff meeting today, actually, working through that process and all of the different components of it, which I can already tell is going to be really helpful moving forward. And our recommendation is approval of the water allocation policy, and there are options for approval with changes and no action.
So does this resolution need to be modified at all if we're changing it from 60 to 90 days?
Yeah, so we'll, if we have a consensus on what that'll look like, we can make those changes to the resolution.
Would be the number 2 thing.
Right.
Approval with changes.
I believe the resolution left a blank spot for that water allowance as well, so we'll enter that number. I had put XX in there or something.
I mean, I really appreciate the proactive approach to this policy and to the water allowance itself. As a official who's spent time on this board and previous boards when we had a cash and lieu policy, it was not nearly as organized, and it was an extremely frustrating process because even though the Board of Trustees had ultimate decision-making authority on projects that, allowed cash and lieu, our staff was constantly inundated with requests and in some ways some bully behavior on, this is how much you have, Town of Frederick, you should be giving it to us, and why go to the board, and why this and why that. And I just want to commend you for having a policy, because I think that's appropriate that you all have taken the time to plan what the expectations are. And I think this is great for our development community to understand. I do think, please continually tell the development community that it will be board-driven initiatives and that we're the bad guys. Because the minute that the community, the greater development community, understands that this is an opportunity, you are the ones who are going to hear from them, and they will say things like, you have access to it, why can't we have it? And they'll want to expedite their project. So I'm considering you all when I'm saying just appreciate the caution, I suppose, in that I think you'll have similar responses as we did when we had a cash and lieu policy.
And if I can just put in a few cents, I do see something years down the road where it would frustrate me if we gave somebody water, they operated their business for a few years, and then they sold that water off. So if there's something we can do in the agreement to make sure that they must sell back to the town for whatever they put in for that water or something like that.
Right. So once water is actually allocated, it would be on a site-specific basis. So that would then belong to that property and that future
There's nothing we
use.
can do about that.
Right. So they wouldn't be able to sell the water off the property. It would be tied to it.
Okay.
Much like when you go to sell your home, you can't sell the water independent of your house. So that's when it's developed, it'll belong to that property.
That's not the way farms are, but
right.
I guess.
Doesn't apply.
So this is when it's developed, it requires water to service it. That would run with the land.
I think that addressed the concern.
As farm, we get frustrated when we sell farms and then they sell the water off.
The agreement on the front end might be with the business or the developer, because that's who we would
It's still
contract
tied to
with. But once it's actually associated with the land, it would stick with it.
I know Todd is on, and I don't know if he was going to say something. I heard the speaker.
Yeah, I'm here behind your PowerPoint.
Hi, Todd.
Hi, Bonnie. No, I mean, it was a great team effort to put this together, and I do think it's addressed a lot of the questions that the board had raised. And as we went through it, we made great efforts to tie it to how the engineering on it actually works, how the land use approval process, so to speak, flows. And I think it represents a really great team effort. I'm excited to have been a part of it.
Great.
Long recommendation.
Yeah. That's nice, Todd. Thank you. Any other clarity needed? Questions answered? No? Okay. Some direction on, let's see, approval with changes,
I took
resolution.
some notes.
Oh,
so
great.
Hopefully I get this right, but if not, correct me. Madam Mayor, I move that we approve Resolution 24-R31 to adopt the adoption of the water reservation and allocation policy with the following changes: that the water allowance for the town of Frederick for 2024 of 132 CBT units, and that there be 90 days before it's effective from the date of the adoption. I think that covered all the concerns. My little tiny notepad.
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Trustee Padilla,
Yes.
Trustee Mahan,
Yes.
Trustee DeValdi,
Yes.
Trustee Lamont.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you to your entire team. Thank you.
Do we have to do anything with the ordinance?
Thank you, Todd.
Oh, then we can see you now. There he is. Thank you.
Hey, didn't even need to wear a tie.
May I make a request moving forward?
Yeah.
When we have outside counsel joining us, or when they're joining us virtually, can we move that item up on the agenda so they're not waiting for so long, if possible? Thank you. All right, item M, ordinance 1393. We're halfway done, just so we're
Act there too.
part 2, act 2, yes. No intermission yet, though. Okay. Bucky's is 60 miles down the road, people. Hold it.
All right, so back again. So talking about another update to the municipal code, chapter 13, article 2, that's the water utility section. This is in line with the strategic and reliable infrastructure goal by updating a code that is vital for the operations of our water utility. We'll go over an overview of chapter 13, a review of the previous updates that were touched on the previous item, so a little bit of a repeat for you, and our proposed updates for 2024, and also some questions at the end, or taking questions from you. Also, if you guys have any questions as we go through, feel free to ask us. Here's just an overview flow chart of chapter 13. So like I said, chapter 13, that's municipal utilities. Article 2 of that chapter is the water utility, defining the water utility. That's broken down into 3 sections, 3 divisions. Division 1 is the general, Division 2 is the water dedication capital improvement fees. That's what was updated last year. And then Division 3 is the miscellaneous provisions. So that deals more with the on-the-ground operations. So again, Division 2 was updated in 2023. This was to update that water dedication requirement as well as that entire section to focus on a water conservation mindset for the town and the development community. What was brought up during that was the board wanted to see more water conservation efforts included in the rest of the code, and that was definitely something that we were on the path of, but that was the highest priority to update last year with the amount of development that was coming in, having that in place while we work through the other updates. So we're bringing those additional updates to you tonight, as well as some minor updates to that Division 2 language. As we've gone through for almost a whole year now of implementing that, there are some tweaks that we wanted to make to the language. And as well as the updates to Division 1 and 3, there's an update to the waste of water section. So the Division 1, that's the general information section. A lot of that deals about the definitions of the water utility as an enterprise. That's really vital for the town. It's been stated through resolutions in the past, but having it in the code is a much stronger place to list that. It enables the town to participate in the NIST project without being an enterprise-funded water utility. We cannot participate in that program once it moves into construction and onward. So very vital for that future program that provides a lot of water for our future residents. Like I said, we wanted to make some small updates to Division 2. This is through communication with development as well as the Parks Department. Now that we have built out that department a little more, they made some suggestions for changes. It looks like we're taking away some of the specificity, but we're also going to be adding a more specific plant guide for the development community that the town is working with Greeley and Evans. They've created a very robust plant database that is applicable for our area. So it'll be a great resource to partner with those adjacent communities. And then development can use that to identify if the plants are appropriate for the area, if they are low, medium, or high water using plants. So we've changed the description of low, medium, high in the code to be low for shrubs and perennials, medium for warm season turf grass, and high for cool season turf grass. Again, that's not an exhaustive list, but we'll have a list outside of the code that we can more readily update as needed. Division 3, that's where the miscellaneous requirements live. And this is more applicable for the Public Works Department and the work that they do in our community. One thing that we needed to change was add language to allow metering and master metering and sub-metering for commercial and high-density projects. The current requirements require that any building needs to be under one ownership and 1 meter, so that made it a little complicated for these multi-use projects. So adding that flexibility within our code to help promote those future attainable housing and senior housing goals that the town board has, as well as new irrigation design requirements. That'll be coupled with a later design requirements update that we'll be bringing forward at some time once that's completed. And to assist with our Public Works Department, identifying more clearly what the maintenance responsibilities are for the water service utilities between the main line and the meter and the structure. There was some discrepancies between that and our design standards, so clearing that up and making it very clear to anyone who needs to know what they are responsible for in our communication out to those property owners, making that clear. As well as access to utilities for necessary maintenance. So in this picture, the Public Works team was out there doing some fixes to, looks like a water meter pit. You can see the lid in the corner of that. And they're out there doing a lot of work, making sure that our system is functioning correctly.
The last piece of this presentation addresses the waste of water section in Division 3. Our current code language is shown on this slide, and as you can see, it's pretty vague. We don't even have waste of water defined. So we wanted to expand upon that a little. In our work session earlier this year, staff had brought 3 other recommendations to the board for this section of code. And the board's feedback was to hold off on those updates and do some additional outreach and research this summer. So these items are not included in this update. We'll be bringing back recommendations after we do that outreach and research in fall of 2024.
Kylie, can I add to that and say that in previous discussions, we've asked for updates from the Parks Department on some of the waste of water that we have in our parks. I know that Kobe and his team are working on mitigating that. Maybe in this same conversation, we can hear an update on that as well. That would be helpful. So I know we get complaints about that over the summer, that we have sprinklers that are in the street and things like that. So let's just make sure that we're being responsible stewards as well. And
yeah, and I know Colby I've talked to him about that in the past few months, and they have made some changes, the specifics of which I can't remember right now. But he said they had gotten substantially less phone calls about that in the past year, which makes me hopeful that some of the changes they've been making have been working.
Great.
But we can keep an eye on that and bring those updates.
That would be helpful.
Thank
you.
Just a question, and I may have missed this, a lawn permit? A permit to have a lawn?
Not a permit to have a lawn. Our recommendation was a permit. So for new development that's coming in with less turf than we've previously allowed, it would be a permit to expand that turf. And our concern is expanding turf would require more water and potentially exceed the water dedicated to a particular property. So really being able to track that and give homeowners an opportunity ahead of time to let them know that they might be exceeding the amount of water they have available for their property before they actually make a landscape change. That was the intent of that.
You don't have to get a letter from us saying you owe us another half of a CBT unit to the tune of 40 grand.
Or you have to rip out the landscaping you just installed, which would also be a big bummer. Okay. The changes we're recommending in this update that's up for adoption tonight is that we change the section title to wise water use. That'll allow us to encompass some other water conservation measures moving forward. We have in much more detail defined what we consider water waste, and that's really the pooling or steady flow of water off a property onto another property or into stormwater drainage systems or right of way. We've also identified water leaks as a public nuisance and that we require plumbing pipes, water meter connections, and irrigation systems to be maintained free of leaks. And we have recommended language for approval changes, and no action.
Again, I commend you for compiling this ordinance. I think it's appropriate that we're having this discussion now. That last slide on being water wise, I know that will be a continued effort, and that will probably be modified as we go and grow. I think it's wise for us to also make sure that we can comply with being water wise, and so not only mentioning the park over water use or wild sprinklers, but I know in our downtown in particular, and I know it has its own drainage capabilities and or challenges, but I continually hear from the downtown community of residents that the drainage and pooling of water is a nuisance to them. And I don't know if it's our water, our drainage issues, I don't know, but the perception is that it is. And so if we implement a water wise policy for our residents, we as a municipality need to make sure that we're following that compliance as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and that's been a part of all of the water conservation conversations I've had with the board, I think. So we're doing our best to address those in tandem with some of these updates.
Thank you. Yeah. Any questions? No? All right. It's you, buddy.
All right, Madam Mayor, I move that ordinance number 1393, amending Municipal Code, Chapter 13, Article 2, Divisions 1, 2, and 3 be approved.
Second.
Trustee Mahan?
Yes.
Trustee Padilla?
Yes.
Trustee Lamont?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Tavelli?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we power through 3 more before our recess?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We know Dropbox
Power
is making
through it
this
all.
hard.
Yeah. That was something I was going to mention. I can wait for trustee reports, but on the new software, I'm curious if we have the opportunity. I think I heard that you could make flags, like you can pin things, right? And that's the tough thing when you have a 193 page packet, is like scrolling from item to item. So if that software can help us go take the agenda and click on the item on the agenda, and it takes you to that portion of the packet, that could be amazing. Because
Brilliant.
we are totally paying attention and respecting everything you're saying, but we're also scrolling down while you're talking to get to the item to follow along.
Well, at least with Dropbox, I could tap and go back up. I
Right.
don't have Dropbox on this thing yet,
Yeah.
so I'm like,
Thank you.
Yes, it'll make things better. Mayor, if I could, I would recommend moving item O up to the next item. We do have legal counsel here.
Yes.
And we'll make sure that at our next meeting that we have those items on the
That's helpful.
beginning of the agenda.
Thank you. All right, we'll move. We'll pause on item N and address item O, the Miners Park Town Center Urban Renewal Plan.
Everybody?
He's not mad. He charges by the minute, right?
Well, as you can see, we're joined today by the godfather of urban renewal, Paul Benedetti, who is our urban renewal council.
Hello.
Paul's here we have really technical questions on this item. We'll go pretty quick. first things first, I am not Ryan Johnson, obviously. Wishing Ryan well. Hopefully he's feeling good. I'm somehow the only person not sick because I have a 2-year-old in daycare. But so this is the Miners Park Urban Renewal Area Plan rescission. Real quick, this aligns with community and economic vitality. Is this item, as we'll go through this presentation here, will help clear up some of the previous minutia so we can move forward with the future of this site. There's the site, the vicinity map, as you can see, is on the northeast corner of Colorado and Highway 52 across Colorado from where King Soopers is currently developing. A little bit of background. In 2014, staff began the process to create a new urban renewal plan area. A blight study was completed, a condition survey, draft plan, and engaging with governing taxing bodies. There was no known developer. No project had been identified at the time. And the Board of Trustees approved via resolution 14-R-19 a plan with conditions. Section 15 of that resolution required that all taxing bodies would provide written agreement. And if not, as you can see on there, it says subject to the obtaining written agreement of all affected taxing bodies. Upon this agreement, it would make the plan active. That was never completed. Therefore, this is something that never crossed the finish line. It's never been completed. That condition was never satisfied. Current state, no tax increment has ever been collected on this property or has been collected since 2014, nor retained by the town nor the Urban Renewal Authority. Staff have been earnestly negotiating with an interested party for a development of the entirety of the site. In 2015, urban renewal law changed, which rescinded original plans. Rescinded how urban renewal plans were in plan areas were formed. Since no original plan was ever finalized for this, but these documents exist, we need to formally rescind those original documents in order to move forward with the new interested party. And then under CRS 31-25-104, governing body having authority to create, modify, or rescind an urban renewal plan is the Board of Trustees. Options to consider. We can adopt Resolution 24-R-33 as presented. The resolution has been reviewed by the town attorney, Fura's legal counsel, Paul, as well as outside legal counsel representing the interested parties on the site. So we can adopt that. Alternatively, we could delay action on Resolution 24-R33. This alternative is not necessarily preferred, as this is necessary regardless to clean up the property so we can move forward with any type of development that would want to leverage something like urban renewal. And we could also deny or fail to take action on this resolution. Just like the previous, it's not recommended. That previous plan has never been acted. It's just kind of sitting there, tying up the site. Staff recommendation is to pass Resolution 24-R-33, and notice of this proposed action was posted in the local paper as required. There's a little screenshot that Ryan put in the presentation of the posting. This would allow staff to continue the following, which is updating the blight study, updating the financial impact models, drafting an urban renewal plan, and continuing the negotiations with the taxing bodies for movement on this project. Thank you, and are there any questions?
And I would add the other thing it does is that it tacks on an additional 10 years.
Oh yeah, that too.
Renewing the plan or starting a new plan, you get an extra 10 years for that TIF revenue, which makes it far more financially feasible.
I got lucky then.
Right. And there was a time when the law changed where a lot of municipalities were rushing to do this because we didn't need permission of any other taxing bodies. So that's why a lot of these got passed at the time frame they did to avoid that state law change. Ironically, we decided to put conditions in it that went with the new law anyways, but I digress. So here we are.
Mr. Benedetti, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Well, I don't want to keep you here any longer, get all on this. I'm just going to say this is fairly common, as was just stated, and there will be a new plan that presented to you for approval down the road. And the
bond attorney for the district that's involved there. I think there'll be a new Metro district as well, has approved this. So we've had discussions with the current owner, the proposed owner's legal counsel, and a bond attorney, and they've all gone through this process. And it's fairly common for older plans that don't work out. And someday, if you want to know the history, I'll explain further. But right now, if you have any more questions, I'll be happy to answer.
I think there was as many attorneys involved as there were interested parties.
Really?
And we still finished it. You know?
Thank you. All right, any questions for council or for staff?
Yeah, great job, Max.
Great job, Ryan.
I know I'm not as tall as Ryan Johnson, but I'm definitely better looking. Said that.
And drinks just as much.
Records show.
Early.
Mic drop was way too early.
No, just pinch hitting at the last minute.
All right. Madam Mayor, I move that we adopt Resolution 24R-33 for the Miners Park Urban Renewal Plan rescission.
Second.
Trustee Padilla?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown?
Yes.
Trustee DeValley?
Yes.
Trustee Lamont?
Yes.
Trustee Mahan?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you for bearing with us.
Thank you, board.
Tonight's meeting, yes. Thank you both. Okay, let's move back to item N. Thank you, Paul. It was good to see you.
Good evening.
And did anybody offer that man a cupcake? Yes, thanks, Allie.
Is there some left over?
Oh, that's a long ordinance.
All right, item N, resolution 24R32. This is the Public Works Facility. Yay, hi. Yes, hi.
We're gonna. This is the contract award for the architectural design of the new public works facility tonight. Strategic plan alignment falls under the strategic, reliable, and sustainable infrastructure. On February 2nd, the town solicited proposals to provide design services. 16 firms submitted their proposals, which were reviewed by a selection committee. Staff are recommending this contract to be awarded to R&B Architects as the lowest qualified bidder for the amount not to exceed $2,138,500. Awarding this contract will attain services that include but are not limited to customary structural, mechanical, engineering, electrical services, schematic design documents, design development, construction documents, construction phase services, and evaluations of work. Options for consideration, staff is recommending the adoption of this resolution as presented. Another option would be to take no action this evening and to provide direction to staff.
That's a lot of money. That's all I gotta say.
That's just for the
That's just for the design.
timing of it.
What was the highest qualified?
Total of, I think, 15 bids. We interviewed 4 firms. There was one bid that was lower, but was not as responsive to the request that we put out there. They had a lot of exclusions that would have likely required a lot of added fees, and so we wanted to go with what we felt was an inclusive fee, so we didn't have any surprises later. And then this was on par with the other 3 bids as well. So that didn't answer your question. I don't remember exactly what the highest bid was, but
I think the highest was around 2.3, 2.4 was the highest of the 4 we interviewed.
Okay. I don't have any questions.
Here.
It's just a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, but we gotta get it.
I
Gotta
know,
get it rolling.
gotta
don't
go. Yep. Well, yeah.
We gotta get this.
Don't have a
To include
be.
the,
Bagging on the trail.
building plus the surrounding parking lot and the entire site, not just the building.
Correct, it's the entire site.
Okay.
Design of this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct.
And Mayor, I would say, Mayor and Board, that the design of a building typically of this magnitude runs about 10% of total cost of construction. So based on industry standard, this is pretty consistent with what that is out there.
Wow, so that's what we can expect.
We don't know exactly what the total amount will be, and we'll have some conversations coming up. I think we want to get some visioning from the board at a really high level on some ideas that we can implement that could certainly drive the cost down, but not compromise quality. So we have opportunities as we go through this. We'll have checkpoints with the board at a high level to get some feedback before we proceed.
And it is a not to exceed bid. So, I mean, they always go a little higher when it's a not to exceed, I assume, right?
Right.
And they'll be on, part of the services that they're providing is kind of being a liaison when we have a construction manager at risk is the likely model that we'll be moving forward with the group that's actually building the building. Right. These folks will kind of help be a liaison.
There's all the RFIs, all the stuff during construction with half the cost of the plans.
Well, even though we're moving at speed, we have to get it right this time because we can't go back to the people and say, well, fourth time's a charm, fifth time's a charm. I mean, this has to be it. And for all of us should no longer be here when it's time to. I mean, even around there, it should last.
We should all move out of the town. Is what Kevin is saying right now.
Or be.
We got to get this one right.
Everybody move.
And part of what made this a very interesting process is just the challenge with the timeline that we have that we're up against. And so it's a very aggressive timeline. And so that's part of what made these folks rise to the top is they understood that timeline and they were willing to work to keep that timeline. The public engagement aspect that they were willing to provide was awesome. And then, I think this has come up in the context of prior agenda items, looking at incorporating into this facility kind of a model to the community of what water-wise landscaping could look like in a good way. So not just telling the community that they have to do things, but this facility would kind of be our flagship in terms of what's good.
And Mayor, I think it's important to note as part of the record that the interviews that were conducted, we also had Dunn & Killey. They're our construction management firm that's helping us guide through it. We had a robust panel and got into some very deep, detailed information and just guiding us through this process to ensure we're getting the best quality that we are for the taxpayers. It was important to have
not have a bunch of gaps.
Yep.
Where it ends up being 2.8.
Correct.
All right. Madam Mayor, I move that we adopt Resolution 24-R-32, a resolution of the Town of Frederick, Colorado to award a contract for design services for Frederick Public Works Facility at 7400 Eagle Boulevard and authorizing the town manager to execute the contract.
Second.
Trustee Lamont?
Yes.
Trustee DeValdi?
Yes.
Trustee Padilla?
Yes.
Trustee Mahan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Right.
Now for the hard one.
Item P.
All right,
Yes,
I think this item down to at least a half hour. Just kidding.
I do feel bad because, Curtis has already made the decision to be a team member. Trisha could have left us by now at this point. She could have come to this meeting tonight and been like, you know what? No, thank you.
That's part of the intention of having this last.
Yeah, she's still here.
What they're in for. So just briefly, I put together a presentation. This goes along with our effective, efficient, and effective government operations. We want to make sure we're compliant with the state statutes. As a statutory entity, we are required to have these positions appointed by the board. So that's kind of why we're here. There's the statutory reference, and then also by our municipal code. So within the resolution is reappointment for Brian and myself. We've already been sworn in, and so that would be a continuation of that. The changes would be for our treasurer, who currently would be Jason Leslie, but as he's transitioned into the deputy role, it makes sense to have that go to the finance director. which would be Curtis, and then of course Trisha, who's new to the town, week 3, I think, 4. So she's in for a treat, and so those would be the 2 new ones. In future years, the intention would be that we'd have a municipal judge reappointed at this time as well. But as you know, we celebrated earlier today, Judge Khan's last day is the end of this month, and so we're working on refilling that. So you'll see that appointment come at a later date. So it's my recommendation that we would move forward with the resolution as presented. That'll keep us compliant with the statutes. You could always split these out into separate resolutions and handle each appointee individually. If you're trying to send a statement and have us very nervous about what's going on, we could do that. But certainly you can, and the alternative is you can wait until a later date to do this. Per our code and per the state statute, you're supposed to do this within 30 days of the election. So that's kind of why we're here today. So there's your proposed language, pretty simple. And then previous to the meeting today, I talked with the mayor about who will do the swearing in. Certainly it can be anybody. She asked if I'd be willing to. I'm happy to. So it's up to you all if that's what you would like to see done.
Do we need to make that part of the resolution too?
No.
Okay. Anything?
Oh, I think we all know what's happening.
All right.
We all support it, yes?
Yes.
Awesome. I move to approve resolution 24-R-34 as presented.
Resolution. Second.
Trustee Lamont,
Yes.
Trustee Padilla,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Trustee Mahan,
Yes.
Trustee DeVelli.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right. So we take a brief moment, or do we need to recess, or have you come up and
Nope.
get sworn in
Ready?
real quick?
Let's do it.
Yay.
Start the swearing.
Rock and roll.
I'm in selfie mode.
All right. Have you raised your
No,
right
no,
hand?
no. Sorry.
And repeat after me. I, Trisha David,
I, Trisha David,
do swear or affirm
do swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the laws of the State of Colorado,
the laws of the State of Colorado,
and the ordinances of the Town of Frederick,
and the ordinances of the Town of Frederick,
and will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Town Clerk,
the duties of the office of Town Clerk,
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
All right.
Yay!
And
Yeah.
this, of course.
Now you're stuck here.
Yeah, this one.
Ah.
Get one out.
Yeah.
Bring forth the ball and chain.
You happy, Jason?
Yeah, Trisha's like, next meeting's yours.
Thank you.
Yay, congratulations. Thank you. Yeah.
Come on up. I think I'm wearing safety glasses because he's looking pretty sharp.
Ew.
Said that to me earlier.
I know, it's a good one. You're looking sharp
Recycled
too.
jokes?
Yeah. I bring a little bit of the humor to the finance department when needed.
I bet. I believe that.
Just
I'll have you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Curtis Adams,
I, Curtis Adams,
do swear or affirm
do swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the laws of the State of Colorado,
the laws of the State of Colorado,
and the ordinances of the Town of Frederick,
and the ordinances of the Town of Frederick,
and will faithfully perform the duties
and will faithfully perform the duties
of the office of Treasurer
of the office of Treasurer
upon which I'm about to enter. Upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which that I'm about to enter.
All right.
Yay.
I'll have you sign.
Congratulations.
Of course. There.
When I was a Town of Frederick trustee, my mom didn't really know what that meant because, you know, there's some towns that have city council and some that have a board of trustees. So she just knew I was on the board of trustees, but she didn't really know what it meant. And so she would tell all of her friends that I was the town treasurer because she thought that was the same thing. So she would just brag to her friends, like, my daughter is the town treasurer in the town of Frederick. I'm like, no, that is not what I am.
You gotta know your math skills, right?
No kidding.
Funny like having a board game version of the Cones of Dunshire.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Probably love that.
Christmas gift for.
Okay, we made it, but we have trustee reports, and then we have an executive session. Delirious at this point. All right, any trustee reports?
No.
No, we'll save it for next
I'm sorry, I have a few, so it's gonna happen.
I defer my time to Honorable Mayor Kreitz.
Thank you.
I don't have any.
Okay. Just a quick thank you for beautifying the boardroom. I think it looks amazing. I love seeing pictures of Frederick in town hall. I think it's lovely, and fully support the more the merrier. I think it looks fabulous. So thank you for all of the team efforts to make that happen. Let's see. We talked about King Supers. If we could get a better understanding of who will be there, where to park, where to meet. I mean, it would just be helpful for those that have been invited, whether it's staff or the board, to understand what you need from us so that we're on time and we know where to meet you or how to participate. That would be helpful if we got some more information on that. I'm sure you're waiting from King Supers, but the minute you get it, it would be helpful if you pass that along. Asked about the software bookmarks. I would like to, summer's busy. I know we have a lot of agenda items, but I would like to propose that just like last season, we canceled all of the work sessions that were outside of our second and fourth Tuesday meetings. We have many things I'm sure to talk about, but we can try to condense that into a work session prior to your second and fourth Tuesday. So effectively canceling the work sessions on Tuesdays in the summer. Sound okay? Great. And then I've heard a fair amount of feedback from the community about what they feel is a disconnect between how their HOAs operate and some of the policies in which we're approving and supporting in the town of Frederick, and how that applies to HOAs. One of the components of advice that I've received from several residents was that we have or designate a town of Frederick teammate who would be an HOA liaison. I know that we don't have a neighborhood services division at this point, and that would maybe fall under that purview at some point. But I would appreciate hearing some staff recommendations on dedicating a person. I don't think it absolutely has to be in planning, but a person who can communicate not only the changes in the town of Frederick to those HOAs, but they're looking for someone to connect with in the town of Frederick to get information about what's going on in our community. I'm sure you can understand who I'm specifically referencing, that likes to make sure he knows what's happening in our community, what's developing, all those things. But I don't think that's a terrible idea, having an HOA liaison within staff. Maybe that's something that rotates for a period of time. But getting information to HOAs and getting information from HOAs and updating our contact information with them, I think should be a dedicated professional. So would love to hear ideas and perspective on what that looks like at some point. Thank you. That's all.
I had one quick thing. We had the third grade tours that were canceled because of the weather. Those are rescheduled for this Friday. I think they start sometime around 9:45 and go through till 1:30. So if you're able to and you'd like to participate, you're certainly welcome. If not, we'll help make sure that's a learning opportunity for the kids to understand that our elected bodies all have full-time jobs and full-time lives, and so you're here for the meetings, but we can handle it either way. But I wanted to make sure you were aware of that opportunity if you're available.
That update. Anything else? No? At this time, I would recommend a motion to go into executive session, take a short recess and go into executive session for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and or instructing negotiators under CRS section 246402-4E1 regarding potential property acquisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Mahan? Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Padilla?
Yes.
Trustee DeVelli?
Yes.
Trustee Lamont?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Well, thank you. 10 minutes, people.
Can we make it 5?
There's a bathroom.